Right, I'm beginning by asking everyone here to do the job. So, if you think you're good at the internet, put your hand up. Put your hand up. Okay, so what have we got down here? Probably half, a bit more difficult to see. I'm going to say maybe 2/3. So 2/3 of everyone here thinks they're good at the internet. And I run a think tank called Doteveryone, and we're fighting for a fairer internet. And as a part of that, over the last year, we've asked lots of people to tell us if they think they are good at the internet. And we asked them to rank themselves out of 10. And people are very confident. So only a tiny number of people are under 5. Nearly a quarter are the 10 out of 10. Right, that's pretty good. However, when we started to delve into that, and we asked people if they understood how ad tracking worked, if they found it safe, if they knew how their phone was interpreting information about them, their general level of confidence started to go down. And this is partly because, I'm afraid, people like me have spent the last 20 years making everything really easy to do. Right? Everything is really, really easy to do, which means you don't have to think about it. I don't know if you made a purchase on Amazon and done one click, or if you had Gmail on your phone and you started to notice this kind of crazy thing of the auto response, which is interesting, because on the one hand, that is great because everyone hates email, nobody is really interested in writing more. But on the other hand, it means that you no longer really have to talk to your friends or lover or mother, because guess what? The internet is able to do it on your behalf. And this is both good and bad. And it comes partly as a part of years and years and years of trying to make everything easier to use. This book here was kind of in the late 90s, early 2000s, that thing that everybody read, and it explained how to get people from A to B as quickly and easily as possible. And this is such an ingrained thought that it's even one of the government design principles. It's something like, make it simple, it makes it better. But the problem is, it doesn't help us to understand. Everyone is really confident, but nobody really understands. And that, I think, I'd argue that making it understandable is the thing that makes it better, as opposed to simple. And this is a problem because we go through life now making choices based on things that feel okay. These kinds of experiences that go on a single click, they activate something in our brains called pre-attentive processing, which means you don't really have to think or understand. It hits and it happens really quickly. And this is an issue in all kinds of areas. So this here is something that was on Twitter last week. On the left is the login to iTunes that anyone who has an iPhone has probably used hundreds of times. On the right is a phishing scam, and the two look totally the same. And it isn't only about the things that are happening overtly that we don't understand. There's actually lots of things happening more intimately. I delved into the location data on my phone. This is everywhere I've been in London in the last 2 months. It even knows if I've been to the supermarket and how long I've been there, and the times I come home and leave again. And this kind of granular data is the thing that powers most of the big internet businesses. It either allows the service to be to be targeted at you, or it allows ads to be sold to you. And this is sort of amazing on an individual level, but it becomes truly overwhelming if you think about the scale of it. So there's an interview in The Guardian last week with the CEO of Google, who said they are on track to have 5 billion users. Facebook now has 2 billion, making it larger than any country in the world. But unlike countries, we aren't able to vote or rebel, right? And that has all kinds of impacts for us as individuals and as a whole. And it's coming out particularly in terms of news and democracy. So this here is a fake news site. It makes $40,000 a month from making things up. And it looks pretty much exactly the same as the New York Post. Which means that, and it gets picked up on Google, syndicated to Facebook. It's kind of hard to tell what is true and not. And this is becoming even more pressing because it means that a lot of us are making choices that are based on information that we're not able to really understand the origin of. So Facebook just announced that they were aware that £100,000 had been spent by Russia in the run-up to the election last year, targeting the swing states. It's estimated that 380 million people have been exposed to those ads. And this becomes really scary when the most powerful man in the world cannot tell the difference between what is really happening and not, right? And you're laughing, but it is not a joking matter, because he's absorbed all of this convenience, easiness, to the point that if he is interested in talking about the war, he doesn't have to go through the usual channels. It can happen on Twitter. And all of that may seem as if it's happening a million miles away, but it's nearer to us, I think, than we're really aware. Anyone who's been living in Britain in the last 2 years is really aware of the kind of strange political miasma, and each and every one of us has been targeted in some way, and it's harder and harder to make up your own mind and understand what's happening. So, is there an alternative? I hope so. I'll talk very quickly about the 4 things we're trying at Doteveryone. So the first is thinking about, the internet is currently kind of lawless. How about if we introduced a code of conduct, sort of like either a Geneva Convention or a Highway Code or a Hippocratic Oath, kind of rules of the road that everybody understands. And we're starting to bring people together to help formulate that and think about it. We're also experimenting with prototypes to help people start to introduce a bit of friction and thought back into those experiences. So here, the point is, you're able to see, is there a dating service or a streaming app that better meets your own values? And then longer term, rather than moving into bananas, as it looks here, we're thinking about fair trade. So if technology is hard to understand, can we start to introduce kind of meaningful tools and the labels that help people know more about the provenance of the things they're using? And I think, most interestingly, and I hope you'll start to hear more about this next year, we're launching a big public information campaign, because all of us have the right to understand, and we think that that's the beginning of the changing it. So, to go back to the beginning, put your hand up now if you think you're good at the internet. It's like less. I think this is like more like a quarter. But that's okay. That's okay, because we all have an opportunity. If you read the slide, you'd have the real opportunity, but it's all wonky. Because I believe that the best way to predict the future is to invent it, and we all have the chance to do that together. Thank you very much.